Guys, so welcome to our first episode of the 2021 ParaFed Huddle. Today I'm joined with Jaden, Gabby, Zach and Shannon, who are our teenagers of our ParaFed programs, and they're going to chat a little bit about their parasport development and a little bit of advice for everyone around you guys. So we'll just go around the room, name, your age, what sport you do, and maybe what events you do within those sports. So Jaden, you want to start for us?
Sure. So my name is Jaden. I'm 17 years old. I'm a competitive wheelchair racer, so I compete nationally and locally as well. One of my goals is to go to the Paralympics. My aim is 2024, if not 2028. I also compete for ParaFed at the Halberg Games.
Gabby?
I'm Gabby. I'm 17 as well. And I do wheelchair racing and mainly focus on the 100, 200 and 400 meter events.
Nice. Zach.
My name's Zach. I'm 17. I am a sprinter and a long jumper. And my main event is the 100 and the 200 meters. Yeah, my goal currently is for the 2024 Paralympics. Yeah, if not the 2028. Or the 2032.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shannon?
So hi, I'm Shannon, or Shazza, I go by both. I do athletics and swimming, so I do both. My main goal this next year, looking at it next year, is the Commonwealth Games for athletics and swimming. I do my events, I do in athletics. I do the 100 shot put and discus, and then occasionally I'll do the 200 and long jump. And then for swimming, I mainly do 50 meters breaststroke and 100 meters breaststroke, and then 50 free. And then occasionally I do 100 free and 200 meters breaststroke as well.
Awesome. So I know that you guys have all sort of represented Auckland. So maybe tell us a little bit about like your journey as a para athlete, and how did you guys transition between like social sports to sort of that development and competitive pathway? Any of you guys can start.
Okay, I'll go first. Why not? So I started competitively doing athletics when I was 9 years old. Well, I actually think I was 7 or 8, because my first ever competition was Halberg Games. I remember that. And then I did Colgate Games for a long period of time. And then my swimming, roughly around then. So I started athletics when I was 4, and I started swimming when I was age 7. And so I got into competitive stuff because everyone kept telling me like they could just see like a little spark, like every time I would like run like at my athletics club or swim, they could just tell that like there was that little spark, and they're like, why don't you just try competitive swimming? So then I got some coaching along the way, and then here I am. I'm still competitive. I've gone internationally as well for athletics. I'm trying to go internationally for swimming as well. But yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll get it. So I've been doing sports for mostly my entire life. I do things like wheelchair basketball, hand cycling, triathlons, and I was actually a competitive swimmer for about 4-5 years. And then it wasn't until 2019 that I fell in love with wheelchair racing. And now I do that competitively ever since then. But I still do my other sports as well. So I like to do a variety of sport, not just pick one.
Awesome. Gabby, what about you?
So I've done sports most of my life as well. I started young doing athletics, and I competed in athletics for a while when I was little, and then moved on to netball, but then since got paralysed, so I started finding new ways to pursue my sports. So for netball, I've become an umpire, and I've recently picked up wheelchair racing at the 2019 Halberg Games as well. So now I compete in that.
Awesome. And Zach?
Well, just like everyone else, I've done sport my whole life. I started with rugby, and then I moved into adaptive soccer, and then I moved into wheelchair basketball, and then I started to do the Halberg Games, and then I got into athletics, and I just fell in love with it. I like the running and everything, and then from there I just kept doing athletics and just fell in love with it. Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys all seem to like really love your sports, which is so, so cool. So what made you decide on picking athletics or swimming for you as well, Shannon, out of all the sports that you've tried? What was it sort of about athletics that really made you, I guess, want to pursue that into a competition state?
I mean, for me personally, I was told from such a young age that I was talented. Like, people could see, like, I got told from such a young age. Like, I remember being in like this little introducing to a little bit Paralympics New Zealand little camp thing, and I was the youngest one there. I remember doing that when I was probably 6 for athletics. And then I don't know, like a lot of people just saw, like I get told the same story with both swimming and athletics. They just saw a spark in my eye, and then they're just training me, and then they're like, oh, why don't you try doing this and try competing? And then from there on, I've never turned back. It's honestly been the greatest experience of my life.
Awesome.
Like I said before, I've been doing sports for most of my life, and I was like I said, competitive swimmer for many years. And then I kind of just lost my passion for swimming, and then picked up wheelchair racing. And then I was like, actually, this is a sport that I can pursue and get to a higher level, which I want to. So I decided to step back on my swimming and pick up wheelchair racing, and now I do it competitively.
Awesome.
So I used to do wheelchair tennis before I found wheelchair racing, and I'm a very competitive person. So, and in New Zealand, we don't really have many wheelchair tennis players. So I started getting a bit bored of tennis because I was training for something that I could never compete in, and I love competing in things. So I found wheelchair racing, and the competitiveness of that I love, so I just carried it on.
Nice. And Zach, what made you pick athletics?
Well, I have 3 brothers, so when we were much younger, we would always compete. So we're really competitive. And then the aspect from athletics competing, it's just competing against other people. And then when you achieve, you feel like really good about it. So just competing and all the aspects combined. Yeah.
Nice. So how do you guys, I guess, manage your time between being a teenager, so having your social life? How do you balance school, training, your social life, your family, your friends? I guess, how do you do that? Because that's a lot for someone your age.
I struggle a bit. I'm not going to deny it. I'm going to be truthful. I struggle a little bit because being in the competitive system for so long, it's kind of a bit hard on your social life. But once you find friends inside sport that understand like your training schedule and stuff, that part of it's fine. It's just, especially this year, because I'm NCAA level 2, and most of you guys can relate on here that NCAA is really, really hard already enough. And then adding sport on top of it with training, it's really hard. But it's just about good time management skills, and like about like fitting in, like also like getting your teachers to also help you. Like, you know, like I do personally, what I do is I get my teachers at lunchtimes to like give me sort of like a tutorial sort of thing. So like it helps me catch up on my work, or I have a study period in school. So I've had that since year 11, and what I use that to catch up on homework and stuff like that. But realistically for me, it's about good time management and finding friends that really understand you for who you are. And I find most of my friends do come from sport because they understand your schedule, they understand like your busy life and stuff like that. So that's how I personally cope with it.
Awesome, good honesty. You go, Jaden?
I guess being a big competitive athlete and having a disability and also having a social life is quite hard. And you do, like Shannon said, you do have to have really good time management skills. So having that plan of at the start of the week, what am I going to do this week? When am I going to do it? When can I fit in time for my friends? When can I fit in time for my schoolwork, because school is very important? When can I fit in time for my training, but still also have that time for myself so I can just chill, because that aspect of your life is still very, very important, if not more important than the other three. So I guess, having that plan at the beginning of the week, or having a plan of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, is very, very key to having a busy life.
Definitely agree there.
For me, I struggle a bit as well sometimes because school is a big priority for me as well as sport. And then I also have a sister who has all her activities and stuff. So like Jaden, we sort of like set a plan at the beginning of the week for like what day do we have what activity on, and then like what day do I need to focus more on my schoolwork and stuff like that. So it's all about having a good plan at the start of the week so you know what you're doing.
And what about you, Zach? Because you work as well, so how do you fit all of those in?
Well, I mainly just try to get all my schoolwork done during the allocated class time. So at my school, we have an hour and a half for each period. So I try get all my work done during that hour and a half. And then I talk to my coach during the week to allocate some time for training. And then whatever time I have left over for social or for finishing off schoolwork or whatever it is. Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess the key is to have a really good plan in place. If you guys could sort of look back, maybe say 5 years, what would you tell your younger self who's sort of on that pathway to wanting to pursue a competitive career in sport? And I guess what advice would you give yourself?
I mean, for me personally, or going back 5 years, I would give myself, say, hang in there, because I remember I would have been 11 and I remember it started getting a bit tough there. I started a new school. A lot of stuff happened in my life when I was 11, but I would say hang in there, push through it, keep going, because the best part about sport for me is making new friends. And I found heaps of new friends along the way. And that's what's kind of just kept me in the sport and making friends with the people you compete against and stuff like that. So I would say hang in there, keep pushing through it, keep training, because the rewards are coming. They're not there yet, but they are coming soon.
Awesome advice, Shannon.
I'd probably say try as many sports as possible is what I'd give advice to myself. Because I did swimming, and swimming took up a very, very took up a lot of my time. Swimming took up a lot of my time, so I didn't have much time for other sports. And kind of when you're at an old age and you're just doing one sport, you don't really have any outlets to do any other sports, because all of your time has just been for swimming. So I think if I were younger, I would say do as many sports as possible, and then when you're a bit older, figure out which sport is right for you.
Awesome. Great advice.
5 years ago for me was when I first got paralyzed. So it was quite a hard time adjusting from going to a normal person, normal able-bodied person, to someone in a wheelchair. And my goals of being a silver fan and stuff, I couldn't really do anymore. So the piece of advice I'd give myself is to continue looking at the positives in things, even though the situation sucks at the time. There'll always be a positive in it.
Awesome. Nice. Gabby? Zach, any advice for your younger self?
Just give everything a go, because you never know what you'll enjoy to do unless you give it a go, and make sure that you stick it out, because you never know what you'll achieve unless you keep on pushing yourself and striving to be the best you can be. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, on that note, I have to agree with Zach on that one, because like when I was 11, so like at that point in time, I was like still a tween and stuff, but like I would recommend that everyone who's doing heaps of sports, like I was doing 3 sports, I was training up to 7 to 8 times a week. I would say stick at it, keep doing all those 3 sports as long as possible, do as many sports as you can. But one thing I would say to myself is enjoy it. Enjoy it, just have fun, just keep going with it. If you don't enjoy it, stop. Because that's the biggest thing I felt like. I was doing a sport at one stage where I didn't want to do it anymore. And even though I did push through it, and like now it's got to me where I am, but I was just wondering, maybe was that the right call? You have to make sure the reasons why you're doing sport, why you want to do the sport. You need to have a goal behind it, and you need to try to be the best person you can be. And try to be as determined as possible, because when you get up to our level, and everyone can agree, it's tough. You have to have a good mindset. You have to be positive, and mentally it's a bit tough as well. So I would say, like, I can speak on behalf of all of us. I reckon if you can try keep doing what you love as long as possible, then that will get you through to where we are now.
Awesome. And then my next question, which I feel like you guys kind of might have already answered, but what advice would you give to some of our young youth who are just starting out in sort of their sport pathway through Parafed Auckland? What advice would you give them if they're still trying to find their way in this very complicated world?
I would say try as many sports as you can, but make sure you enjoy it. Make sure you're willing to give everything a go. Try stay positive. If you don't like it at first, keep trying it until at one point where you're like, oh, I definitely don't like it. Don't just give up instantly. Try your best. Try be the best person you can be. Try do as many sports as possible, because when you get to our age, you have to limit yourself and it gets tough. So I recommend try keep going. Try do as many sports as possible and try stay positive.
Awesome advice.
I'd probably say the same thing. So try everything. Try sports that you probably haven't heard of, or things that you think, oh, you might not like. Try it. If you don't like it, so be it. Don't do it. But it's always good to try it. Also, ask for help. If you need help from people to get started in sport, you can go to your local Parafeds. You can go to Halberg. You can there's lots of people out there that are willing and able to help you get to where you want to be in your sporting journey. So try everything, and don't forget to ask for help if you need it.
Great advice.
Adding on from my previous answer, just looking at the positives in situations, because it could be a negative thing, but you just there'll always be a positive in it. So yeah,
definitely.
I would say give everything a go and persevere, because you never know where the sport's going to take you, and you never know how good you will be at it until you give it a go, and you'll get so much rewards out of giving everything a go, because you'll feel good about yourself and you'll feel like you've achieved, and that's just really good. And that's all.
And probably my last question is, how do you guys deal with things like failures, or when things don't quite go the way that you might have planned for them to go?
I personally look at it as like, I try to look at the positive. I try to see the positive in every situation. That's how I first look at it. But what I do personally is, if I didn't get my goal that I wanted to do, say maybe in swimming or whatever, I would look at, like, if there was a video recording or a live stream of it, I would watch that race over and over again and pick up all the corrections that I did wrong and try and improve on it. I would ask myself, why didn't I perform at my best? What did I do wrong? Because the worst thing you can do, is what I used to do when I was younger, is blame it on everyone else but yourself. I would say reflect on yourself first before you come to conclusions, because that's what I did when I was younger. I used to try blaming on everyone else, but it was actually my fault. I'm the person doing the vent. I'm the one that's throwing out there. I'm the one swimming. I'm the one doing whatever sport you're doing. You just need to reflect on yourself and say, why didn't I perform at my best? Maybe you just weren't feeling it. Maybe it's just this, but you've got to be positive with the talk that you give yourself, because that's the other thing I fell in as well, is that I used to do really badly negative self-talk to myself. But you've got to stay positive and look at it as like, how can I improve, instead of like, this was terrible, like the throw was so bad. Like, you need to look at it like, okay, what my next goal? What's my next step forward? How can I fix this so this won't happen again? What can I improve better to be a better athlete? Maybe it was my attitude. Maybe I can try stay positive, you know, that sort of thing. That's what I would say. That's how I deal with like, sort of like, I don't even class it as failure. I call it as a new step of improvement. Like, improving myself and staying positive is the best thing you can do when you don't get something that like your goal or like a PB or any sort of thing. If you don't get that, try stay positive. I know how hard it is to stay positive at times, but you've got to stay positive and don't beat yourself up over it, because you've got plenty of opportunities to perform. Like, I performed personally, I can share an experience. I did terrible overseas one comp, but I wasn't feeling it. I was sick. I was tired. I'd been doing non-stop. But what I did was I was like, right, I know I'm not feeling it. I'm going to set a goal. And then as I kept setting goals, I still stayed positive. Even though it wasn't up to my best, I was still happy as a person. So I reckon the best thing you can all like do, and everyone can agree with me, is stay positive. Don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a goal or like a new step forward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, really good, Shannon.
I'd say, actually, not gonna lie, I'm real bad at this. I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself to perform to my best. But I guess over the last 2 years with my wheelchair racing journey, one of the big things I've learned is to have very, very good communication with your coach. Act like your coach is your best friend. You race, you talk to your coach. How did that go? How did they think you went? Ultimately, it's how you think that went is the deciding factor. But get their opinion, see how they believe that you can improve. And then once that communication is done, then just be like, okay, that happened. Now I've got to look forward to my next race. Don't dwell on the last race. If it went terrible, see if you can move on as best as possible. Talk to your coach, and then move on to your next race and plan for that.
Awesome.
For me, I think that you have to fail in order to succeed. I actually did my school speech on this this year, like failure is a pathway to success. So like with wheelchair racing, if a race doesn't go as you plan, you can't, like Jaden said, dwell on it. You have to just move on and see what you can improve. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. In my opinion, when you're not always gonna win, so you can't really, like everyone's saying, you can't dwell on it, because there'll always, most of the time, be someone that is faster than you or has done it longer than you, or you could mess something up when you start, or just drop back when you finish, or maybe trip over or whatever. There is a lot of stuff that can go wrong, but you just have to look back over the race and see how you can improve on that. And that is what training is for. You train so you can improve, and improving is what makes it better. So like your starts or your finishes or your times or anything like that, all you can do is just improve on it so you can get better and hopefully win more, as much as you can. Yeah.
Awesome. Really good insight from you guys as well. So thank you so much. So that's sort of like the end of our little podcast today. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for coming on board. I know you guys are all very, very busy in lockdown. So thank you. And we really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
No problem.